Hey people, it's 20 past 8 at night on the 7th of October 2014, and in about 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours, something like that, 14 hours, there's a total eclipse of the moon. I must have spoken to about 8 or 9 different people and clients today. It's been a full-on day, and every single one of them has got stuff between 12 to 15 degrees of the cardinals. And some of the stuff that's come up today has given me such a much broader perspective on what's going on. We could trace all of what's happening now back to the start of the Uranus-Pluto square. But a lot of you have commented today about how I keep referring back to the start of January 2014. That does seem to be the trigger point for a lot of stuff that is unfolding now. And in that context, then the Grand Cross of mid-April 2014 is the hardcore surgery, whether that is in terms of transplant or more realistically in terms of upgrade. And by upgrade, I'm talking about a hardware upgrade, not a software upgrade. This type of acceptance and integration of new hardware becomes obvious more and more once we're into mid-late July, and for many people we thought that by the end of July you dared to breathe again, but the worst was over and it was calm down time. But after this come the aftershocks, and it's through working with a lot of clients today that I've been able to piece together the kind of schedule, and it's not just all going to happen as fast as I thought. We're right now in stage 4 of the Grand Cross, if you like, where the eclipsed moon conjunct Uranus is going to bring some pretty dramatic, is already, just today I'm seeing it all over the place, bringing a lot of decisions to a head, and yet it's Mercury retrograde. So these decisions are being made internally, but they're not being acted upon. It's like conclusions are being drawn, but actions are not being taken, and won't be until after the Mercury retrograde. This is followed on the 11th of November, 11/11. Of which more, I'm going to do another video on this, but on 11/11, at 11 degrees of Capricorn, there's a conjunction of Mars and Pluto, and there's a number of other attachments around 11 on that day that are really significant. This, of course, is a very important day in Western history, 11th of November. It's a day of Mars conjunct Pluto. Trouble, potentially. This is followed, after a relatively quiet 3 months, on the 11th of March, by the conjunction of Mars and Uranus at 13 degrees of Aries. Followed very shortly after this, I think around the 15th of March, maybe about the 18th of March, 19th of March, by the conjunction of the Sun, the Sun and the Moon at 29 degrees of Pisces, and it is a total eclipse at the very last degree of the zodiac. This is followed 2 weeks later by a total eclipse of the Moon at 14.5 degrees of Libra around the very start of April next year. This, as far as I can tell, is the conclusion to the Grand Crosses, T-squares and eclipses that are happening between 12 and 15 degrees of cardinal signs from the start of January 2014 through to the early April 2015. But it really does seem as if the time of October 2014 onwards is much more knocking hard corners off, making adjustments, making surgical incisions to upgrade certain bits. Much of the hard work is done. What's coming up now is site specific. The moon's in Aries right now, 5-6 degrees. It's just rising. It's an exciting time. Uranus is in its prime. We all have the capacity now, with Uranus being unfettered and freed, to actually strike out for ourselves. The world's going to become full of self-employed people over the coming years, in a way that says that if we don't start making changes for ourselves in our own personal lives, we're going to get caught more and more into the automaton into the robotic machine. And I guess really with an eclipse moon in Aries on top of Uranus, you have to look after yourself, because at the end of the day, how can you help anyone else if you're not in good working order yourself? Putting yourself first is not selfishness, it's self-enlightened interest. And with that square to Pluto going on, it sounds cruel, folks, but sometimes you have to look after number one. And over the next 24 to 36 hours, this may be the case. Hard conclusions, I know, and only temporary. Here we go. One more before I sleep. One more before the eclipse. Catch you in the morning. Good night.